What is your favorite movie or TV show that is either shot in or set in Maryland?
Whoa, that's a good one. Oh, God, that's a tough one.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome back to the Bar and the Beer With podcast, where every week we sit down and have a beer with someone that has an amazing story to tell. As always, I am joined once again by your long snapper for the Baltimore Ravens, Mr. Nick Moore. What is up, my good friend?
Oh, just living the dream, man. Just enjoying coming off a win. So everything's going well right now.
That win surely did help things, because after week one, there was a lot of people in Baltimore that were feeling a little sad on that Monday.
Yeah, we were too. So I know,
The Ravens have
feeling.
scored. The Ravens have scored 82 points in the first two games.
Hey, we're doing something right.
It's nothing to sneeze at. 82 points is a lot.
Well, we are joined today by Mr. Allan Charles, who's obviously excited about the 82 points that the Ravens have put up. Huge fan of the Orioles and the Ravens. Co-founder of TBC, which is like the premier creative ad agency in Maryland. Just celebrated your 50th anniversary last year in 2024.
Correct.
But you're retired now, and you've got lots of cool stories for us.
Well, I've been in the, in the advertising business since I'm 15 years old. Making TV commercials since I'm 15, and which is a long story in itself. And I think I also got a lot of Baltimore stories. Even though I wasn't born in Baltimore, I was born in Washington, D.C., but came here every weekend as a kid. My mom had a big family here, and we moved here when I was 11. But I was a big Colts fan, and I still hate Indianapolis. I don't care what anybody says, okay? That was not supposed to happen in the world. William Donald Schaefer, who was the mayor of Baltimore at the time, lost his cookies over it, and it was horrible. But to the people of Cleveland, I say this, who might not like the Ravens or Baltimore, okay? Art Modell left you your name of the team and the uniform of the team. So your kids and older, people that are older now that when they were kids had Browns uniforms and helmets and costumes, you can enjoy them. I've got my son, Josh Charles. I've got his 7-year-old Colt helmet buried in the crawl space of my house.
I mean, I'll forgive you about being born in Washington. You could have left that out. We would said you're a Baltimore guy, because let's be real, you're a Baltimore guy.
I think so. But when I was born in Washington, Washington was actually a smaller city than Baltimore, population-wise. And, and after World War II, it grew immensely through the largeness and the growth of the federal government. It's amazing that Washington was a smaller town than Baltimore. And I was a Redskin fan, when I was little, my next door neighbor had a little luncheonette next to the Redskins office. He brought me one night. He brought me a Eddie LeBaron autographed football. Gave it to me at dinner, and all that. But then I was here every weekend when I was a kid, and my mother would come over. My grandparents live on Patterson Park Avenue, and I became indoctrinated into the Colt world. And Nick, it's hard to think about this, but I really believe that the Baltimore Colts were, beyond being a CULT, a cult of the Colts, were almost revered in a religious situation here. I mean, you would, the stars of the team, Gino Marchetti, Johnny Unitas, Raymond Berry, they would be out at bars and restaurants, and the whole world was in love. I mean, worship them. And I know we do it here now, but in those days, that put Baltimore on the map. And the 1958 Colt championship game, which everybody said made the sudden death game, made the NFL. That gave Baltimore a boost, ego boost. We never quite, till the Ravens and won 2 Super Bowls. The Orioles, it's been a while now. It's been 83. I don't know.
I was alive.
Huh?
I was alive for Orioles
I
World
was there.
Series. So
I was there. I was there in '66. I mean, a lot of the Orioles were friends of mine. I worked with a lot of, Brooks Robinson, Jim Palmer, Boog Powell is one of the great. I used Boog in tons of commercials. I used Brooks in a lot of commercials. I did some things with Jim. Jim was a neighbor of mine for 22 years, and Jim Palmer, in addition to being one of the greatest pitchers, his lifetime ERA is 2.86, which is
Wow.
pretty
That's pretty dang good.
pretty insane. Okay. And in those days, they didn't stop you from pitching at 80 pitches like today. He may pitch 180.
That's what I was thinking. Like, that guy probably threw so many innings to have a sub-3 career ERA.
He once took
something.
he was out a half of 2 seasons. I don't know if he was here. He could correct me, but I don't know. He was out, and with injury in his shoulder and his arm, and he once took his shirt off and showed me what his right side looked like versus his left side.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, wow. I mean, what he was, and here's the other thing about Jim nobody knows. Jim would help me with my lawn because he lived like 2 houses down across the street. And he was a lawn expert because he played all those years on the most perfect, other than a pro golfer, who else is lawns like that all the time, grass like that. And he knew all the seeds, the seed mixtures. Came over, said, you need more rye or more fescue or tough. Yeah, he was unbelievable.
That is special because I have it's funny you bring that up because Sam Cooke is like that for me. I used to live in Westminster where Sam has been for 20 years, and he was that guy for me, helping me. He still helps me with my lawn. He knows all the grass, like ins and outs of it, what to do. I'll send him a picture like, hey, I got this. What is this growing in my yard? How do I fix it? He's like got everything for me. He's my go-to handyman for anything. He covers it all. So that is very unique.
He would come over. My mother came over to the house one day, and Jim's out there raking a bare spot and mixing. He would mix the seed, right? The mixture of it. And he's an incredibly, and I tell you, he remembers every pitch he ever threw. When you talk to him,
that is special.
It is unbelievable. Lifetime 2.86.
That is
unbelievable.
He started when he was 19. He started with the Orioles when he was 19 years old.
Wow.
How many at bats would you need to get a hit off Jim Palmer in his prime?
In his prime?
In his prime.
When I was in my baseball prime?
When you were in your prime, Jim Palmer's prime, how many at bats would you need to get a hit off Jim Palmer?
This is gonna be a hot take, I'm gonna imagine, but I actually in my years I performed much better against the major league pitchers. Now, I remember like one time I faced John Lackey. He was like throwing a inter-squad game right before the season started, 2013. And I remember the first time he was just, he's out there in the spring training. He's just trying to work on some pitches or whatever. I think I swung like the second pitch. He threw me a fastball and I got a base hit. And then my next at bat, you could just see it in his eyes. He's like, this guy is not doing it. And I got to 3-0. And this was the first time in my life that I realized, like, I'm probably never going to make it to the big leagues. Because I got to 3-0, and he hit me with 3 consecutive sliders. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, 3-0 slider, like, it was unbelievable. So with Jim,
I once had the opportunity to film. I did the 69. I produced, edited, and co-authored some of the conceptual stuff of the 69 Orioles year film, which was called Those Magnificent Birds and Their Flying Machine. And that year, the Orioles had taken the American League, Sean. They killed it. They were way ahead. We got to go on the field and film, like, they let us behind handheld camera, the camera right over the umpire's shoulder, over the catcher's shoulder. And we filmed a couple innings of him pitching a game that I think was a no-hitter. And he had a leg kick. I mean, his head, went up. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, he's just, I don't know. I personally believe that Major League Baseball, the great hitters have their vision is more superior. I don't know whether they're zoomed in, like they say that the normal vision is that of a 35 millimeter camera's lens, which is sort of a medium wide lens. But I'm thinking maybe those folks, it's hard. Nobody knows how to scope that yet. But like maybe they're like at 40 millimeters or 42 millimeters. So they're zoomed in to see the spin on the ball and all that. Because I mean, that's pretty hard to do at 100 miles an hour. Well,
I can tell you the exact moment I knew my baseball career was over, and then I'll get to your answer here. But it was 2015 spring training. Mookie Betts him and I got drafted together out of high school. We were both we kind of were making our way through the minors the first couple of years, and then he kind of skyrocketed, and I went the other way. And so, but we're still friends. I just saw him a couple weeks ago, or actually like a week and a half ago when they were here in Baltimore. So we're still friends to this day. But he was in a spring training game. He had made his debut the year before. He got a 3-0 count, and the guy threw strike one, so 3-1. And he had this like kind of at that time he had like a little bit of a bigger leg kick that he has now, and he started his load, and then he stopped his load right as the ball was basically like coming out of the pitcher's hand.
Wow.
And we were living together, and he ended up drawing a walk. And so we got home after the game, and I go, Mook, what, like that one at bat was like in the second or third inning, and he got a 3-1 count, and you literally stopped your load before the pitcher even let go of the ball. Like, why did you do that? And he was like, dude, I could just tell from the angle and where the ball was that it wasn't going to be a strike. And I was like, I don't have that. And that I got cut shortly after this, but that was like the first moment where I was like, I'm pretty much done with baseball. And like, there's no way I can do that. And
that's insane. Jim once said to me, we were having dinner at Mimo's, and he once went through a pitch sequence against Ricky Henderson. I'll never forget. That's why I say I can remember every pitch. He said that his first pitch was inside, and then the next pitch was 1 inch over. The third pitch was another inch over, and that each pitch he threw, which was either a ball or strike, he moved Ricky Henderson's wrists across the plate, and it got to 3-2. Right, he'd gone like this, and then came back inside to strike him out. Which like he's working him. And I'd never even thought of it. That's that insane. When you snap the ball to the holder, how fast is the ball moving?
I don't know the exact speed of the ball. I can tell you how fast my hands are moving.
Right.
My hands, on average, this year have been about 27 miles an hour.
That's when you go like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically how fast I turn my wrist over, it's been about 27 miles an hour. Yeah, so I wear like a tracking device. During practice, obviously I don't wear it in the game, but I have a tracking device I kind of tape, just similar to this Whoop here. I tape it on my wrist here, and then it tracks how fast my hands are moving, how quick I release the ball, how long my hands are traveling, like the duration of time. And it kind of gives you like a little bit of a path of my hands. So I can see like an image of like a line image, and I can kind of get a gauge for what my hands are doing throughout the snap.
Wow.
But it goes fast. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. They go, if I had to put a ballpark on it, I mean, my hands are traveling 27. The ball's probably 8 yards is probably mid 30s, like speed wise.
When you release the ball, are you looking through your legs to the holder's hand, or is it?
Yep.
It's not blind. You're looking.
Yeah. So some guys do. Some guys prefer to snap blind. I don't necessarily see the benefit of it. I like to see my target because it gives me a better. I'm just so much better motor skill wise when I'm focusing on what I'm doing. So if I'm looking at something, like they say, your hands follow your eyes. And so like if I got my eyes where I need them to be, I kind of contort my body in a way that all I see is the holder's hand. So when he does this, that's when I snap it, and I'm aiming basically right for his hand. And I try to just take my hands and place them in his hands, and the ball will usually go right there. But yeah, I do look.
is do you try? I've also I'm getting asked questions, man. I always wanted to ask these questions.
Do
Does the thread, the what do you call it on the top? The
the
thread,
laces?
the laces.
Yep.
Is it, you got it down where you can get the lace into his hands in a certain position
Yep.
for him to get it right?
Yep. Yeah, for the most part, I can control the spin of it. So as long as I have built myself into having a really good mechanism that I can repeat. So by doing that, I can control the velocity of the spin, knowing that if I do everything right that I'm supposed to do, the ball is going to travel exactly as far as it needs to, so that he catches it like this, and the laces are going to be right along his knuckles, so he catches it and puts it down.
Am I allowed to cuss?
You can
You
do
can
whatever,
say
because
whatever
it's
you want.
amazing to me the science behind this.
Holy shit! I never. I
Yeah.
just thought, and that makes it easy when he doesn't have to spin the ball
Mhm.
around as much to get the laces facing the goalpost.
It makes it more efficient. I'm similar to you. I haven't been long snapping that long. I mean, I only snapped 17 games in college, so I didn't play a ton. I was of the camp who didn't think it was I could do that. Like, I didn't think you could control it. And it wasn't until I met my predecessor, Morgan Cox, when I got to Baltimore, that he really taught me that, hey, you can control it. And it's my job to make sure that the laces are facing forward. And that's 50% of what I do. I snap field goals 50% of my plays. So that's, that's what it is.
I'm sorry. What's the holder's name right now?
Jordan Stout.
Jordan. Right. He's the punter.
Yep.
He's the punter. You guys should make the big money, not Lamar and all this guy.
I wish, man. Hey, if they want to pay me, I'll take Lamar Jackson's salary.
That is insane.
It's definitely an art. Like from a 30,000 point of view, like, it just looks like, oh, I'm just throwing the ball, he's just catching it, putting it down. But like, when you really dive into the details of it, it is an art, and we spend hours and hours and hours practicing together, working on distance control, because every day is different. Like, whether it's like the game is humid or the game is really cold, so it's dry, like the ball, my hands are going to be different when it's hot versus when it's cold, if it's wet, if it's dry, if it's raining, all that stuff. It goes in, it plays a factor into it. So then we have to really dictate hey, maybe this week, it's like when we played this past week, it was much warmer and much more humid than it was in week 1.
Right.
So then typically what you're going to get is the ball's going to spin more because the grip is going to be better. The leather itself is going to be a little bit softer. So I'm going to be able to get a better grip on the ball, and I'm going to be able to spin it a little bit faster. So then we're just dictating the distance that the ball travels in order for it to get. It basically spins 3 full rotations and then like another eighth of a rotation, what I would say, an eighth of a turn, which would be
8 yards.
Yeah. It's about, if I was going to give you the exact number, I would say my snap is probably about, from the time it leaves my hands, it probably only travels about 7, maybe just shorter than 7, because of where I'm standing and where I release the ball.
Stout's hands are out, right?
Yeah. So he catches it. He actually catches it in front, so it probably travels closer to 6.5 yards full distance.
Is it easier to snap to the punter or to the holder?
I mean, if you're just talking about the physical difficulty of it, I think field goal is obviously easier because the ball doesn't travel as far, so it's easier to control the spin and the height and all that stuff. I would say from a mentality standpoint, like a mental side of it, field goal is obviously a lot more pressure because the kicker's job is dependent upon whether or not we can execute our jobs as the holder and the snapper, but also we're putting points on the board for the team. And as we know in the NFL, anytime you can get points on the board, it can help your team win, because games are won and lost by less than a touchdown every day. So you got to be perfect on those. Punt is less stress because the ball travels further. It gives the punter more time to react to the ball if it's not off course.
All right.
But when you throw into punt side, there's a lot more responsibilities that I have post snap than field goal. Whereas field goal, I just snap the ball and I kind of just stand there and get in the way of somebody. But on punt, I actually have like blocking responsibilities and then
Right.
coverage
I
aspects.
didn't even get into that yet.
Yeah, that's a little bit harder.
That's the easy part, right?
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
I've got
Allan.
wait, can I real?
Yeah, go for it.
I got two interesting things to tell you. My world of stories. I've got a field goal story and a punting story to tell you that you won't believe. First of all, do you know, like in 1958, when the Colts won, the greatest game ever played, they were white goalposts and they weren't that high. The pieces that they weren't anywhere near as high as they are now.
Yeah.
Do you know why they got made taller?
I'm going to imagine there was a kick that was close
I
to
was
maybe in or out.
I was at the game. It was the Colts' nemesis in those days was the Green Bay Packers. Bart Starr,
good team.
Bowling, Jim, whatever the runner was, I can't remember. But I was at the game and I was on the other end zone watching. It was either Sean. It was either a playoff. It was a playoff or whatever. For the conference. I can't remember. It was ended our season, and the Packers. I can't remember his name yet, but Packers field goal kicker kicked the field goal that won the game. And when I'm telling you, it was 3 to 4 feet off. It was 3 to 4 feet off. Okay. And as a kid, what was that? 1958. So how old? I was like 12 or so, 12, 13, whatever. I mean, you couldn't live with it. And then the Sun papers the next day had the picture. The guy snapped at the right moment when it was going by, and you showed that it was clearly off. They didn't have replay in those days, and it was done. They called it, and it was done. The next year, that's when the goalpost got raised. That was the result of that. Okay, the next year the goalpost it became yellow, and they became much, I don't know, Sean, how much taller, but a lot taller.
Yeah, they're a lot taller. The NFL ones are way up there.
All right, that's my field goal story. Now, here's my punting story. I have blocked an NFL punt.
You have.
I have.
How'd you do that?
Yeah,
I got to hear this. I got to hear this.
Wait a minute. Okay, and this is the Ravens kept this pretty quiet. It got a little bit in the newspapers one, but in the first year M&T Bank Stadium, they put those. This was that M&T also pioneered a lot of things, but they had for John Modell's that was involved. He'd worked on some U2 concerts with some LA guys that made these enormously wide video walls for YouTube's concerts. And that's how we got the first, it's like 80 feet wide or 100 feet, whatever. And we did a really cool video. We worked with a company called Imaginary Forces, my film company called Charles Street Films. We worked and TBC. We worked. We were doing the advertising, and we went out to shoot. We got all the stuff, and we wanted to shoot some stuff with the players. And John went to his dad, Art, and said, "Can we use a couple players for this?" Which was a thing then. And Art said, "Okay, but make sure nobody gets hurt." Okay. Jim Harbaugh, John's brother, was the quarterback. We shot a little shot of him, close up, handing off to whoever the running back was. We had a receiver receive the ball. We had a couple, I can't remember all this. They were really benign things, but shot them very tight and slow motion to make them dramatic. And then I came up with this idea that the moment that to shoot, with photography, what lenses and cameras, wide angle lenses?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah. So there's fisheye lenses, which look like the eye of, see the world and everything becomes curved. And that was big thing, in the old. But those days I had a 10 millimeter lens that was rectal. It wasn't curved. It was linear. So everything wasn't distorted, but it was gigantic field of view. And I said, gee, wouldn't it be great if I laid on my back, handheld, holding the camera up with my back on the ground? Wouldn't it be cool to have a punter, okay, drop the ball right onto so it fell right to the lens, and kick it within inches over the lens, right? And everybody went, I threw, listen to this one.
The idea is fantastic. I want to tell you that. The idea is
well,
great.
it's still I think it's still in some of the quick cuts. They used it for many, many years. We ended up using the shot, but here's what happened. I'm laying on my back on a sound blanket in grass, and, everybody's saying, and Greg Montgomery, who was an all-pro punter for Houston, I believe, and was the punter for the Ravens at the time. Great guy. Unfortunately, he's passed away. Really terrific guy. He was really into it. He was like a little bit in the show business. Really wanted to do it. And I kept telling him, the closer the ball comes down to the lens, the bigger the ball will be in your foot, and kick it like within, without kicking the lens or the camera. Just, we shot at 100, and that was film, 35 millimeter film. We shot at 120 frames a second. So it came like that. And I'm laying on the ground. Tony Saragusa was there. This was at the training camp in Westminster. And he came over and he was holding my head because I'm laying on the ground. And I had a big Airflex camera with a matte box and the lens rod, these 19 millimeter rods that held and we did 2 rehearsals. He kicked the ball. I think they said, I didn't see it because he kicked it over, 85 yards. And then we didn't roll film. And then we rolled film. And I couldn't even say action because my assistant director had to, because I'm holding the camera real steady and just right. And we rolled film. Kenny yelled action, and I blanked out for a couple seconds. I was out cold. Greg kicked the rods that hold the matte box of the camera. Okay, I'm holding it. The camera's a little on my shoulder. Had it been on my neck, I probably would have. They say would have broken my neck. He kicks the ball, but kicks the camera too. I mean, kicks the camera. Right. That's why the shot was still used. It's unbelievable. You see his arms. You see. I mean, it's like the whole world in a different view. And Saragusa goes, "Oh, you dumb fuck! You kick the camera, And John Modell's assistant, she started throwing up. She thought I was out cold. I mean, I was out for about 10 seconds. I didn't even know what happened. And Greg started limping, right? Because he starts limping.
He kicked the camera. I could imagine his foot hurt.
And they took him into with Tesseltorf, who was the guy that did, the medical. And then long and short of it is he broke 2 small bones in his foot. Never punted again.
Oh my!
You ended someone's career.
I bet Art was not a happy guy after that.
Who?
I bet Art was not happy.
Off camera, I'll tell you some other stuff.
Wow. I could imagine that happening because we do shoots like that too.
I didn't know about it until weeks later, and I bumped into Greg at a nightclub or bar one night, and he was great. He wasn't mad or anything. He said, I shanked it. And it's one of the greatest shots. I mean, it would be like if I had the camera, when you were centering, like right under your butt, and you centered right into the the wide angle lens. I mean, it would be
that'd break a couple fingers if I hit it. That's for sure.
I had a bruise on my shoulder for like 5 months, I swear. And that's my closest I've ever come to playing professional sports.
Hey, you got a block. That's more than a lot of guys can say that played in this league.
Yeah, I mean, we did some great commercials for the Ravens early on. We did Edgar Allan Poe, the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe.
That's awesome.
You'll love this, Sean. I presented Art Modell. One of the big thing when they came to Baltimore was, and one of the reason the Modell came was the money that the PSLs generated. And you know what the PSLs are, right?
Yep.
Now everybody does.
Licenses.
But there was a guy named Max Buellman who started him in Charlotte with the Charlotte Hornets. And he did it just as almost a promotional gimmick. They weren't legal like contracts, but when people got season tickets for the Hornets at the new stadium, they got a seat license. It was like your seat. And one day, in that seat early in the season, he looks at the Charlotte Observer, opens up the one ads, and there's somebody selling their seat license. he calls the guy up. He says, "Man, you can't do that. This was like a fun. It was like Quaker Oats used to give a square inch of Alaska away in a deed in the Quaker Oats oatmeal." He said, "You can't do that." And the guy said, "I'm sorry, buddy. I'm I don't know what you're talking about, but you're the 15th caller, and I sold him to the first caller." And that's how the idea of PSLs came. And I showed we did advert. And everybody thought. They were worried about the expensive PSLs for the better seats, that people weren't going to pay that $1,000, $1,500 or whatever it was. And it ended up being the other way around. The better ones went like lightning, and the not as good seats, held up. And we did advertising to promote, where you're going to sit. And I showed Art Modell a storyboard that was eerie blue, dark blue, full moon, foggy cemetery. Camera coming around behind a tombstone. And as the camera comes all the way around the tombstone, starts to reveal the front of whose tombstone it is, a raven lands on it and goes, caw, caw. And you come around the front and you see it's Jim Irsay, right? Who was hated. His father, not the new guy, was hated in Baltimore. He was the enemy of, people hated him. And the voice said, "Everybody knows where Jim Irsay is going to be for Ravens opening game. Where are you going to sit?" And we cut to, "Here's the seating chart. Get your seats."
Wow. That's a great commercial.
Art laughed he says, "I love it, but there's no way the NFL is going to let me run."
Yeah, that would be tough.
So we ended up doing the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe, which was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have done a lot of stuff with the Orioles, the Ravens, I think even the Capitals, right?
I did
and Ovechkin.
We did Ovechkin for hair cuttery. The first year he came into the league, he signed. He'd gone to the Capitals office in downtown Washington, had signed $140 million contract, walked out right after he signed it. I guess it and it was a hair cuttery across the street, right? He goes in and gets an $8, $12 haircut or $10 haircut. And somebody spotted him and they got him. We did some stuff with him. He was cool. He was a great guy. Really interesting guy. Told me that in Russia, Putin had license plate number 1 and he had license plate number 2.
Wow.
And that his mother was a Olympic winning, gold medalist gymnast, or was very well regarded athletically over there. And then we did the Orioles for in my career. I did 3 or 4 different times. I did the Orioles marketing, and we did the the spots leaving Memorial Stadium, which was kind of, a lot of people love Memorial Stadium.
I was at the last game at Memorial Stadium, which was a Ravens game.
I filmed it, and we did thanks for like the Broadway song, "Thanks for the Memories."
Yep.
And then we did "Welcome Home" and for the next year. And, then we did Little Richard the year after that.
Yep. I remember that commercial. I remember that spot.
I used Little Richard to go play in the yard. And he actually did it and was into it. And we spoke a bunch of times, worked on the lyrics, and he sort of, if you listen to that, it's really the same as "Good Golly Miss Molly," basically, And I called him a couple times at his hotel, and he answered the phone. He would answer the phone and say, "Who's this?" I'd say, "It's Allan." And I called him Little. I said, "Little, it's Allan, the guy with the Orioles." And he said, "Oh, okay." And then he sang me the first, his first little sketch of it. And he said, "We're the O's, and we're going to win, 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 win." I said, "We can't say that, man." I said, "Because, this is going to run after a game they lose 20-2, or if they win 10-1 or whatever. It's got to sound, we can't say we're going to win all the time, He said, "I got it, Allan. You can't win every game." And we went out to LA and recorded him at Capitals. He was phenomenal. It was one of the greatest days of my career. He was amazing. Told me that we were sitting on the piano and taking a break at lunch, and he was sweaty. I mean, he'd sung he was really loved. he looks at me. He says, "You know, Alan, I spoke to Paul McCartney last night." I said, "Wow, that's cool." He says, "Yeah, you know what Paul said?" He said, "I am the Beatles." I said, "What?" I said, "Well, you know," and he looks, "I see in your face, you don't, you know." I said, I said, "No." He said, he looked at me. He says, "Paul," says, "John and I used to listen to you, you know, as kids." And then I said, he looked at me and he said, "Alan, listen to this. I can't sing, so don't, you know, I want to hold your hand." He says, "That's me, motherfucker. That's the Beatles." And then after that, every article you read, Paul McCartney talked about that they, you know, their inspiration was Little Richard and Chuck Berry, but Little Richard, you know, most. So
That's really cool.
and
I
we
didn't know
used that for the, you know, that was to make, you know, everybody when everybody moved to Camden Yards, it was the first time they had club seats and suites. So everybody, the knock on it was it's a rich man's stadium, right? And everybody, and the Orioles marketing team, we decided we needed to make something that would appeal to everybody, you know. So go play in the yard.
They did good.
And it's still one of the best stadiums in baseball.
I think
It
it's.
is.
I mean, I've been to some others, but I think it is. And then, you know, it's so many people come from out of town. They've been guests of mine, and I take them and I point to the bullpens. Do you know, Nick? Do you know that Babe Ruth's father had a bar where the bullpens are?
No, I did not.
You did not know that?
How did I not know this?
I don't know how they don't make that. I mean, there should be some where exactly where the bullpens are. Where
Wow.
was, you know, that was all where the stadium was all railroad tracks. That's why it's called Camden Railroad Yards. And the warehouse, Baltimore's the most westerly eastern seaport. So goods going west, it was cheaper than go to New York or Boston or wherever because the railroad, it was a shorter railroad trip. So the boats would dock at the harbor and stevedores would bring the goods up to the warehouse and they put them on trains on the other side. And where the bullpen was a bar that his father either owned or I think he might even work there. He went to school.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, went to a school and orphanage in Catonsville.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And then you got the Babe Ruth Museum right there at the yard,
Right
too.
there. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So that's my that's a couple of my stories.
I feel like we could have like parts 2, 3, and 4 with you, Alan.
I'd love to. I mean, I haven't even touched the really funny stuff, but
what I was going to say earlier, I think we need to get TBC to put together like a social media campaign to get Nick into the Pro Bowl this year, just based on like what he was telling us about long snapping.
How do you do? You know that? Well, wait a minute, did they have a vote for the long snapper?
So they do, yeah. So we are voted on equally the same as everybody else.
Come on, Al, let's do it.
You know,
let's get him there.
That's
one of those things.
That's an interesting. Sean, that's an interesting. So how would you go about promoting that, and what would make?
That's a good question. I don't know. So it's really like, you know, they say there's 3 different layers of voting. It's the player vote, the coaches vote, and then the fans vote, and each carry the same amount of weight. So 33% of the vote comes from the fans. And the guys that typically win the fan votes are the guys that typically do have a higher presence on social media. I will say that.
Oh,
you see that a lot. It's not just long snappers. That's like every position.
But wait, let me ask you this question. But it's like baseball. The fans vote.
Yeah. So the
long snappers from the bigger markets have a up on you because
you honestly, the guys that win the long snapping like fan vote side of it typically are guys with bigger like social media followings that are more active on social media, because a lot of times, you know, people obviously like Ravens fans are going to vote typically for me because I'm their guy, but then it's like getting to the outer markets. So, you know, typically there's not a ton of crossover with like fans voting for other teams, because it's not like, you know, a lot of people are going to vote for Lamar regardless, or Derek or Roquan, regardless of.
I've got the video in my head already. I got it in my head already. You know, but why can't we get the Ravens? I'm not connected with the Ravens. I know Steve Bisciotti a little bit. I know Kevin Rockless. Okay. I'd be glad, on your behalf. But the Ravens have a tremendous social media presence,
They
Why-
do, and they push it out there. But
Yeah,
again,
but it could be such a fun thing.
it would
Sure, we know you're going to vote for Lamar for quarterback. Sure, Derrick
Yeah.
Henry for running back. But wait a minute. You're leaving out the most important friggin' guy on the team.
This guy's a genius already. I love
I'm
it.
telling you, people would laugh there. It would be funny.
That's how you win. Like, that's how you win that vote, is like the comedy side of it. Like, you see, like Cameron Dicker, the kicker for the Chargers. He does these. I remember a couple years ago was his first one. He did like this presidential like promo. He basically filmed like a commercial, and he was like wearing a suit and a tie, and he's like, I know everybody's voting for the Pro Bowl, but I just wanted to put my resume. He's like straightening up his tie, and he's like, my name's Cameron Dicker. I'm the kicker. They call me Dicker the kicker for the Los Angeles Chargers, and he's like going on, and he actually, he crushed it. And that year, I think I can't remember if he went to the Pro Bowl that year, but his view, like, just to meet like the presence he had from that one video, and now he's done it every year since that video, and it's just kind of like a funny.
The slogan is great. Here's the slogan. It's all about the snap.
That's a good. I like that. That's really good. I don't know how I've never thought of that before.
All about the snap, and get everybody in Baltimore going like this to some, everybody going. It's all. You know what? Forget the touch. Everybody. Hey, listen, I could make the argument. I don't want to, but last week, first game against Buffalo, the extra point was the difference,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you had to bring that up. I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it.
Definitely played.
Hold on, wasn't your fault, right?
No. I'm not going to point blame at anybody. We're a unit. We got to do our things together.
I know. Believe me, I know. I know. I'm joking.
There's a lot of things that go into a football game in the National Football League, and obviously that's a contributing factor to why we lost. But that is not.
But I'll tell you
everybody
something.
Makes mistakes.
And I wasn't kidding.
Nick, I didn't say it, dude. Just so you know, it wasn't me.
No, but I'm joking. Listen.
I know you are.
Well, listen. In a extra point or field goal, there's 3 people involved. You,
Mm-hmm.
The holder, and the kicker. Everybody's got to be perfect. It's got to be. Yeah.
No, that is our job. Our expectation, especially when it comes to PATs, like our expectation is, you're 100%. And the reality is, it's a 33-yard kick. It's not a guarantee anymore. It's just the nature of why they moved it back. They wanted to make it more exciting for the fans because guys miss them. I feel like every week somebody's missing a PAT.
How much longer is it than it used to be?
It is 13 yards further than it used to be.
So it was on the 20, now it's on the 33.
No, so the ball used to be snapped from the 2-yard line. Now it's snapped from the 15-yard line. It's a 33-yard field goal.
So you're kicking, the extra point's being kicked from what yard line? Where the ball's being kicked?
The ball is being kicked from the 33-yard or the 23-yard line, excuse me. But the ball is being snapped from the 15-yard line.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So they made it
10 yards.
Yeah, they pushed it back because it became a gimmick, like the kickoff. It became one of those things that it was so like, all right, this isn't even a play. Like, why are we doing it? Like, very rarely did guys miss field goals was a 20-yard kick. They move it back to the 30, to a 33-yard kick, and now you have guys missing, pretty regularly. And that's just the part of it. It's not an easy kick, like, especially when you're playing in the environments. And
I swear I wasn't aware of that. I know there's something. The kickoff now, if you kick it into the end zone, it comes out further, right?
Yeah, they moved it. So now touchback goes to the 35-yard line. Last year it was the 30-yard line, and then before that it was a 25-yard line.
Right. So they want run backs.
Yeah, they're basically forcing your hand.
Yeah.
Because they've seen, like, when they moved to this new kickoff style last year, I had experience with this in the XFL. It became like you're almost forcing. They want more returns because that's an exciting play in football. Like the kickoff return is a very exciting play. And so they thought last year, hey, we're going to move the touchback to the 30-yard line. We're going to try to force more teams to, put the ball in play on kickoff. But what they didn't take into account last year was in 2023, which was the last year of the old kickoff style, the average drive start, which is basically where the ball ends up after a kickoff on average over every kickoff in the entire National Football League, was the 27-yard line. So we, like, coaches started realizing that, and they're like, hey, we can give 3 yards up versus risking hitting, putting the ball in play and giving up a touchdown.
Right.
Especially with the new play. It was an entirely new play for us last year in the NFL. So what the NFL did was, okay, you guys are going to hit touchbacks, because last year, basically, especially late in the season, everybody just hit touchbacks. Like, nobody put the ball in play. And the percentage of returns only went up by like 1 or 2% over the course of across the entire league. And so this year they're like, all right, you're going to hit touchbacks. Now the touchback goes to the 35-yard line, and the scoring differential percentage, basically the percentage that a team's going to get points on a drive when the team starts at the 30 versus the 35, goes up by like 15% or something crazy.
Wow.
And because basically
it's all statistics.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like you start on 35-yard line, you get 1 first down, you're at midfield. You get another first down. You don't even need to get a second first down. Really, if you get a 10, 15-yard gain on the first down, or on your first set of downs, and then you get 5 or 6 yards on the next set of downs, you're in field goal range. I mean, we're seeing guys kick balls. We saw a 70-yarder in preseason. We saw a 64-yarder the other day to win the game for Dallas. Like, all you got to do is get the ball across midfield to give yourself a chance to make a field goal.
That's right.
And so now it's becoming like, okay, it's too risky to not put the ball in play, because you're getting the ball at 35. And if you have a good offense like we do, you're going to get points more times than you're not going to get points. And so teams are being forced to basically put the ball in the landing zone.
What's the furthest Loop can kick if you practice?
The furthest I have ever seen with him in real life is 70 yards. We did a full operation during training camp and hit from 70 yards.
And that's with you snapping and the hold and everything.
Yeah.
70 yards. Wow.
Yeah. So we have
how much did it clear the crossbar by?
It's from that far away, it's really hard to tell. I mean, I know it cleared it by a decent amount, but we use the TrackMan, which is, they use a lot in golf. It just tracks the trajectory of the kick. It kind of estimates based on the impact power and the direction of the ball and all that on the distance. I mean, he's had some kicks that are 79, 80, like good from 79 or 80, but the furthest we have ever made as a unit together is 70.
Well, what about, and how far can Stout punt?
Stout can boom it. He can hit it
crushing
far.
it this year.
Yeah, he can hit the ball really far. He had multiple 65-yarders in preseason. He hits, just the other day, last Friday, I think it was, he hit in the air, went 75, and then it rolled out. He basically hit a touchback from the opposite. We were on the minus 10-yard line, and the ball ended up bouncing into the end zone. So total distance traveled 90, but in the air, I think it was like 75.
Is that the long? Did anybody ever kick it longer than that in the air?
I don't know. Jordan.
I remember that somebody said that Greg kicked it 80s or 85, something. I
could see. Well, you got to understand, like, a 75-yard punt travels 85 yards in the air, because you only count the distance of the punt from the line of scrimmage.
Well, you don't count the height of it.
Yeah. So he, like, if we're snapping from the 10-yard line, he's basically making foot-to-ball contact at the goal line. So the ball's actually traveling 10 yards further in the air than they give him credit for, because it has to cross the line of scrimmage in order for it to be.
Did they ever check the punter's hands like they check the pitcher's hands now?
No,
that maybe put some like Vaseline on it, so when the guy catches it, it's like he's slightly fumbled.
The problem is, like, it's risk reward, because he has to be able to catch the ball as well.
I know.
He's got Vaseline on his hands.
But you see, I'm figuring that you can, based on what you just said, I'm going with the fact that you could probably center it with not touching the Vaseline, right?
Yeah.
And center it and spin it the right amount of spins, so that it got in his hand where he didn't have to touch the Vaseline.
Oh, you're saying put the Vaseline on the ball.
Yeah, and then the receiver wouldn't know the Vaseline's. I'm giving we shouldn't even be doing this. I mean, this
No, the
give me
refs,
some idea. And then when
the
he
refs
catches
get the
it,
ball every play, so
it's
they
like,
they have it.
wow, the Ravens, every kick they kicked this year, the receiver
It's
fumbled
dropped.
the ball. What happened?
That
It's
would
like-
be hilarious, but
That's like Tom Brady with the inflation thing.
unfortunately, the referees, they transport the ball from the sideline to the spot, so they would know if there was.
I was almost
if there
a
was
genius.
Vaseline. You almost had us.
You know, the funny thing is, I sit, with Steve Jeppy, and right in front of us when the pitcher finishes the inning, he's walking off. The umpire goes over, takes his glove, makes him take his glove off, and checks his hands
Yeah,
that there's no, substance. And
That's
I
crazy.
laughed. I said, "Why is he doing it now? Why did he check?
he's
him
already
when he
pitched.
walked
Yeah,
in?
the inning's already
When he's
over.
come-
Yeah,
when he comes in, the inning's over. He could have gone like this or like this.
that
I
actually
said,
makes good. That's actually a very logical point because
I'm the only I started that. I want
That
to get
is-
credit for it. If you talk about it,
I never thought about it that way.
I want to get credit for it.
Oh yeah, Allan Charles.
Right.
Because that makes sense. Like, why would you not check him before the inning? Because
Yeah,
what happens if he goes out there and he shoves, and then after the inning he comes in and they're like, "Oh, you had tack on your hands. You're out of the game." Well,
Right.
you're not getting those outs back. Like you've already lost those outs, so you need to get you need some type of some retribution from that, I guess.
Yeah, and I always thought the same thing is when it starts raining. Like there was an Oriole game about a month ago where they let it go. The Dodgers, who was it? Was it the Dodgers? They were, the Dodgers didn't want to call the game because the Orioles were winning. And I mean, it was a flood there. It was raining like crazy. But when it's raining and they're playing, I mean, the ball's wet. That's like a spitball, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what's between the water and, I mean.
It definitely plays a factor into it for sure. I know for my limited experience in baseball.
I'll tell you one thing.
Playing in rain is not good.
When we finish this offline, maybe we'll get together. I'll give you some thoughts about Sean with the All-Star.
I love it. I love it.
I got a couple other thoughts. That's an interesting because I'm not denigrating what you do because, as I said earlier when I asked you this question, I've always been amazed that nobody talks about the skill set of that. They talk about the velo and the spin rate. You watch Lamar going like this and all, this perfect spiral versus not. And I think that it's unbelievable, but that's because it's not what everybody's talking about. It's not Derrick Henry making out for night. And
it's not sexy. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's not just sexy, but the snap.
It's there.
We can do a whole snap campaign where everybody in Baltimore
just walking around snapping.
Okay, everybody's snapping. And it's just, it's all about the snap. Vote for Nick Moore.
Boom. That's it.
Boom. That's
This man's a genius.
We just get everybody going like this. Okay, you let me know. I'll call. Let me. Do you know Chad Steele?
Oh yeah, I know Chad. Yeah,
I know Chad. Tell Chad that Allan. You can go talk to Chad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I see him every day. Yeah.
Tell Chad that Allan Charles. Okay, my son knows Chad real well. And my son knows Morgan Cox. I think Morgan Cox sent him a happy birthday text yesterday. Okay?
Oh, that's awesome. Morgan's a great
tell
guy.
Morgan to tell him about
I will.
us.
I'll text Morgan after this. He's still one of my good friends.
Yeah, because if I call my son, I'm still dad. Like, oh yeah, dad, yeah, you're really good.
Yeah.
I still want to get you two on together. That would be a
Josh would be a great guy. I'll talk to him about it. But he's doing this new show and he's literally working 20 hours every day. He's swamped. He almost came down this weekend, but he didn't finish Friday night until 11, and then whatever. But he goes to a lot. He's come with my grandson to a lot of games. Loves it. I mean,
got a big one coming up.
Is it against the Lions?
Yeah, Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I know. God, it won't
be a
get
big
out.
one.
We won't get out of here until midnight.
You're telling me. I won't get out of there till after that, probably.
Man, that is, I tell you, I've always thought about that, and it's funny. I used to have a night, I had two weird sports nightmares in my life when I was younger. One is I was pitching in the World Series. It's the last game, right?
Mm-hmm.
One
Game 7, 2 outs in the ninth.
2 outs, 2 strikes, right? And I'm pitching.
Yeah.
And, I can throw it 98 miles an hour. I'm a real pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Me, it's the alter ego of what I'd like to be.
Yeah.
And I wind up and, the whole world is on this pitch. And I go like this and I throw like a fluffer, like a wiffle ball fluffer, like 12 miles an hour, like, and with an arc like a softball, like the last thing anybody would be thinking about. And the batter, my idea was that the batter would just throw him completely, like
Yeah.
completely off, it'd be like the biggest change up in the history of the world. And the batter goes like this, and I wake up every time.
You don't know what happens. That's a
But
nightmare.
I used to, when the batter wakes up, when you have
He strikes out. He swings and misses. There's no
when
doubt.
you had to imagine, because that would really be the last thing anybody would ever think anybody would do. He's going to try to throw a 180 mile an hour ball or whatever. But I thought, and I've also had the same dream about the snap, being the center. I mean, and the whole being the whole. My dream was I was the holder, and I got the ball, and either I dropped it or it was fucked it up or whatever, or screwed it up, and I had to run.
Oh yeah, that is a nightmare.
Like,
I'll say that. That is an absolute nightmare.
What?
Yeah, that anytime that happens, I don't know if you guys watch college football, but that just happened in Notre Dame playing Texas A&M this past weekend.
I watched it. I was watching.
I watched it live, and they snapped it to the holder. Really good snap. He mishandles it, drops it, has to pick it up and take off running. That has got to be the worst. That's got to be the worst feeling. I can't imagine.
In the last Super Bowl in New Orleans, what happened, Sean? It was at the end. They did a really interesting thing where they centered it, and then the punter ran around in the end zone or something. I think
to blow time. Yep.
For a long time to eat the clock up. That was a very unique.
That's a take a safety. Yeah,
that was the night the lights went out in the stadium for a half hour. That was.
Yep.
All right, so we like to do this, and we haven't prepped you for this, Allan, but we like to sort of wrap up these interviews with what we call the last call, where it's a series of questions, just rapid fire, and just first thing that comes to the top of your head. Are you ready?
I'm going to try to be ready, but okay.
Have you ever yelled "Oh" during the national anthem at an out-of-town stadium event?
Absolutely.
What's your go-to snowball flavor?
Cherry.
What is your favorite movie or TV show that is either shot in or set in Maryland?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh God, that's a tough one because my son did a bunch of things, and
if you said Hairspray, I would totally get it.
Well, it's either Hairspray or Diner.
Both are bangers.
There's also an esoteric one, Marnie, which was Alfred Hitchcock with Sean Connery and something really different, long, long time ago.
I want to actually go see that new Baltimoreans movie that just came out.
I know the guy. I've met the guy who put the money up for that. Big guy.
All right, what's the weirdest thing you put Old Bay on?
Oh, we introduced Old Bay to the world on the advertising years ago when it was with Baltimore Spice. Old Bay on peanut butter.
Hardest to direct: kids, animals, athletes, or celebrities?
Athletes. I'll tell you, I got a great story about that. I'll tell you in a minute if you want to hear it. It's after all that. Okay.
You're spending the afternoon in Baltimore with family. Are you going to the zoo, the aquarium, or the science center?
The zoo, the aquarium, or the science center? Probably the aquarium, because we introduced the aquarium when I did it
with the cat commercial.
We did the cat commercial with the shark, which by the way,
that was an iconic commercial.
But they had to take that off the air because too many people came to the aquarium when they did it. One of the few times the commercial off because of too much action. And one other thing that happened there, we were in the Shark Tank. They have a catwalk that goes around where the lighting people can change the bulbs and skim the water or whatever. And we were setting our lights up. I was in there, and a friggin' thing jumped out and lit just by a hair. My lighting guy went for his white sneaker on side, and he pulled. He goes, but I mean, he could have had his leg, his foot bitten off.
Wow.
That's a true one too. I mean,
all right. Who's your favorite Maryland celebrity or sports figure?
Boog Pal. One of the most entertaining, funny, sweet human beings in the world. I knew all the guys. I mean, I met them all, and Boog is just a big teddy bear, And here's the other thing about Boog. I'll give you one real quick thing. You asked Boog about the '66 World Series. Who was the most famous pitcher that pitched against the Orioles in the World Series? Probably unarguably number one in the top 100 pitchers of all time.
In '66.
Yeah.
Number one all-time pitcher.
Yeah, I think
Nolan Ryan?
When you do the list of the top
close.
100, they do the list who's the top 100 pitchers of all time. This guy usually is the first pitcher. His first name starts with an S.
My heart. I mean, I don't know how old Sandy Koufax is, but
Andy Koufax.
okay. I was gonna say my heart wants to go Sandy. If it's not Nolan Ryan, it's got to be Sandy Koufax.
Boog, I think, went 2 for 3 or 3 for 4 against him, and he
Wow.
loves to talk about it. And the other thing about Boog weighed like 800 pounds or whatever. I don't know. He was huge. He was fast on the base path. He was fast. I mean, insanely fast. Great guy. Funniest guy. Great cook. I mean, you'd laugh. Anyway, that's that. I mean, but I loved a lot of guys. I knew a lot of great guys. All right.
All right. And last one.
Uh-oh.
If you could have a drink with anyone living or dead, who would it be?
Ernest Hemingway.
That's
Very good. Good
spot
choice.
on there.
All right. And Nick, we actually had a question for you. We had a fan question submitted for you from a gentleman named
I like
Austin.
it.
Yeah, he wants to know. We kind of actually probably went over it today, but he wanted to know what's the hardest thing about your position that an average football fan doesn't realize?
I'm gonna say the physical aspect of it, blocking and protection on punt is probably the hardest physical part. I think the mental part is game-winning field goal. Obviously, anytime you're going into that situation, you know, your mind is running all the scenarios, the possibilities that could happen, makes it very challenging to be able to perform under that stress.
I could tack on a question that the last question I want to ask you, which is sort of the same thing. So when you snap the ball, then your hands got to go up into the blocking position, right? Or your arms, shoulders, right?
Yeah.
So how many seconds are you, or split second of present behind the rest of the line?
Honestly, I'm gonna toot my horn here, but
you might be first.
I move. I try when I'm like watching tape. I want it to look like we're moving in unison.
Right.
Obviously, I have a head start because I know when I'm snapping the ball.
Right.
But I mean, I'm usually if you're talking depth wise, I'm probably a tick shorter than they are. But timing wise, we probably all move at about the same time. But I start about, you know, my body is in front of all of them. So,
Right,
you know, my goal is to get back to the same
That's
depth
right.
level.
You're a
as
little
them.
bit ahead of everybody, right?
Yeah, they line up basically on my heels and try to because it gives them a little bit of cushion away from the guys that are rushing the punt.
Does the noise of the crowd when you're away, when you're trying to do one of the deals to pull the other team off, that makes it harder, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever stopped a punt return?
Stop the punt return, like make a tackle?
Like someone that was going to go yard, and have you ever stopped somebody
That's
you
a
had to
cool-
tackle?
Yeah. Last year, well, it ended up getting negated by a penalty, but last year we were playing the Broncos, and they had, I think Mims is their returner, and he had ran Jordan hit a fantastic punt over his head. He's like run back and get it, pick it off the ground, jukes a bunch of guys. Ended up getting by me the first time, and I just turned and started hauling ass back to, you know, get to the ball. And sure enough, he made a cut and he was basically gone. And I was right behind him because he had to dodge all the other guys, and I was able to get my hands on him and bring him down. But the play got negated, offsetting penalty, so it didn't really matter. But it did happen.
How often are the referees wrong?
Referees, I mean, most of the time they're pretty good. I feel like this year we've been pretty blessed. We've had some really good crews. I mean, the game is fast. People make mistakes, but that's what we have replay for.
I have a weird sports theory as an older fan. I watch all the replays, and I don't know. I haven't researched. I think I did once search it up on Google. I think there's somewhere between 17, 18, 19% of calls that under the review that get turned over,
Mhm.
which to me, when I look back at my super long history of being a fan, these things where we got like the field goal with the Packers and all that, it means that a good percentage of sports history is absolutely bullshit.
I never thought about it like that. Honestly, that's a good take.
Really horrible for people like yourself. I mean, like, that are blood, sweat, and tears and everything. And
Yeah.
I mean, now I understand that there's human frailty and all that, but
It is
right
moving
now
fast.
watching this little box they put up on baseball for the strike zone, they should have that on the scoreboard of the stadium, and get rid of the guy behind the plate and use radar or whatever it is, because it is. I mean, I know they got to adjust, but they're human beings, but the rule of it, just like the rules that govern you, don't take into effect human error.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you up because you got to go to bed. I don't want to mess up your practice.
It's all good. Well, thank you for jumping on with us tonight. We appreciate it.
I hope you got a little bit of what you want.
Yeah, you did great. I really enjoyed the combo.
Love to do it again if you want. Let me know. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. You didn't even dive into a bunch of the stories that we know you have. So
I didn't even touch. I'll tell you wouldn't believe. I've lived a luckily charmed life. I've had a lot of interesting things occur, and I've met some people, and I got an interesting creative view of the world and all that and whatever. I mean, I tell you, like we spoke earlier about William Donald Schaefer. I mean, there's so much I learned from that guy. It's unbelievable. So whatever. But it was fun, and let me know, and we'll follow up.
We will certainly welcome you on again if you ever want to come back on with us. And thank you for your time tonight. See you later, gentlemen.